Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is WatchArtSci, the art and science of watch collection. Today is a review day and we're going to take a look at Ian's collection, and I called his collection the Christmas tree collection because it has lots of ornaments with a star on top. So let's take a look at that. First up, there's this collection is eclectic. I was going to call it the eclectic collection, but it was a tongue twister, so I went with the Christmas tree collection. First of all, you've got on the top row there, you have three quartz watches. One is an early Seiko quartz watch, which at the time cost the same as a Rolex Submariner when they first came out. Next to that is ESA quartz. Also, the 940 is the movement maker. They had them in separate companies, made the watch and the movement, the quartz movement. Again, this is another early quartz one. The third quartz is a Hamilton, and it's a neat Hamilton because they had some kind of agreement, obviously, with LL Bean, and that's sort of, they made a watch especially for the LL Bean. On the bottom row, there's also a couple really interesting watches. Now, neither one of them are quartz, but they're an alternative movement to the more traditional kinds of movements that you have in mechanical watches. First of all is the ESA, the white with a white dial, is with a tuning fork. It runs with a tuning fork. Now this was also done by a more famous one, the Bulova Accutron. I had one when they first came out, and I just thought it was the most wonderful watch ever made. This is sort of in the old days, pre-quartz days. Next to it is a wonderful watch, and it's a Mickey Mouse watch with an electric motor in it, for lack of a better term. The electric watches had sort of a very short period, really, where they were making them. Probably the best way to think of an electric watch is like an old kitchen watch or a wall watch in an office where they just plug the thing in and it ticks away. An electrical current ran it instead of a spring. Otherwise, they're pretty much mechanical watches. And there's a wonderful example of one of the early Mickey Mouse watches that was electric. They also, of course, they ran on batteries. They didn't have an extension cord that they worked with. Okay, this next group is another. They have a number of other interesting watches. First of all, you have that great big Poljot Stramansky from the 1990s. The Poljot is a neat example of a chronometer, and it just, I mean, it's something it looks like sort of like a pilot's watch or something you could take into outer space with you. Okay, next to that is one that I hadn't heard of before. It's called a Marvin Prazion, and it's from the 1950s, and it has a chronometer grade movement. And this was it's got a highly finished with gold chantons. And it's just, it's sort of an interesting kind of watch, what they call, it looks like it's a new old stock condition. On the bottom row, the far left, you have a Bulova. It's a Bulova oceanographer. And it's an interesting watch. I mean, it's got sort of these little bitty, almost invisible lugs on it. And with the black dial and the green markers on it. Sort of a cool one. Now, next to it is this is a it's a 1946 Eterna bumper. It's got a gold bezel around it. It's a stainless steel watch with a gold bezel, and really I mean it's for an aging watch, and gold can develop this really nice patina that gives it a certain glow to it, and that watch has it. Okay, the final watch in this group is an Elgin, and it's just a cool looking Elgin that is a dress watch and very understated, very elegant kind of watch. I like it a lot. The 12, 3, 6, and 9, and nothing about this watch that is pushy. I'll put it that way. I think I think it's a kind of watch I would like. It reminds me of of my Patek Philippe Calatrava. The only difference is I don't have any numbers on the Calatrava, but it has that same kind of nice, clean look to it. Okay, finally, and here is what I call the star on top of the Christmas tree with all these other ornaments, is the Grand Seiko SBGR061. Now, it's a Grand Seiko, and I wish they'd given it a name, like something or other, but instead of SBGR061, and it may have one, but I don't know what it is. But what a gorgeous watch. That creamy dial is just a beautiful, beautiful watch. Really very, just what I call a yummy watch. It's got the date and hours, minutes, and seconds. Clear as a bell. Just very clear watch. And it's got an exhibition window on the back, and it runs on an in-house caliber 9S65, and it's got 28,800 ticks to it, with a 72-hour reserve. Now, a 72-hour reserve for an automatic, I think, is really good. My ticker that I have on now, I have on my FP Journe, and I think it's got like a 48-hour reserve. At least that's when the indicator runs out. But this has got a 72-hour reserve, and it's really very nice. Okay, so in looking at this, I was very surprised to find one thing missing, and this is also missing from my collection, so it was probably, I shouldn't have been so surprised that some other people are in the same boat, and I may have given this same recommendation previously. I probably have. And this is an Eberhardt and Company Scraphograph 300. They cost, they're brand new, between $18 and probably $2,100, right in that neighborhood. They won the 2016 Sports Award for the Grand Prix de Horologie de Genève. Hey, they're a fantastic watch. But the thing is, the reason I'm recommending it isn't because they won something, but that's part of it. But rather, if you look at this collection, there's no real, what I think the term is sports watch, is sort of what I call a rough and tumble watch. You could, something like camping and hiking and doing a lot of outdoors stuff. You can get it wet with the rubber band on it, and really a very, very very cool watch. It's one I think that is a good recommendation for. In fact, it's a good recommendation, I think, for anyone looking for a real sports watch. Okay, I don't have a real sports watch, and this is one that I'm considering too. Once I recover from some of my other recent purchases, I'll be able to, give my piggy bank a little lift, and maybe I can get one too. But otherwise, this collection is really an interesting one. But I think overall, what I would suggest to Ian is now just trying to move it up a little. Up, you've got that Grand Seiko. That is the direction to go in. But you got the Grand Seiko. Take a look at some of the upper level Swiss and German watches too. There are a bunch of neat watches in this collection, but I think you start bumping it up just a little. Now, what this means is stop buying a whole bunch of real inexpensive watches and start putting them aside for something more expensive. I'm talking to me as much as I am to you or anybody else, because there's so many temptations. It says, oh, there's a cool watch, I want that one, and it's only $200 or $300. I'll go out and get it. Well, that's hard to resist. I know that. I'm a collector, so I know. In fact, any watch is hard to resist if you really like it. But I think that you can start nudging it. You don't want to have a bunch of old watches or vintage watches unless you have some kind of purpose for it. I mean, like there was this one guy who wanted all the Omegas, and I think he did it and had a wonderful collection. But just to get a watch, I think you're trying to build it up around where you started with the Grand Seiko. Okay, this has been Bill Sanders, WatchArtSci. I'd love to hear your comments. Say, hey, I think that this ought to go in this direction or that direction. Of course, it's hard to say that, not for everyone but me. And so let's hear from you. That's what the comments are for. Also, if you'd like to subscribe, here's an invitation to subscribe. And remember now, if you get your collection in for review before the 1st of January, we've moved up the date where we're giving away our second watch, which is this is the Danish watch that we're giving away. Please be sure to get your collection in before the 1st, because we were going to be giving the second one away in April, but now it's in January 1st. Okay, see you on Friday, and this has been Bill Sanders and WatchArtSci.